Good afternoon, everybody. I decided to do a little micro scrap video on tearing some of these ceiling fans apart. Show you guys how I do one. You know, you'll find a lot of people that say it's not worth it to get the copper out, or it is worth it, it's big money. It's not big money. It's a little money. It's more money than you'd get just scrapping the fan as a whole. You know, 6.5 cents for a 10 shred versus 6.5 cents for the 10 shred parts. I get 10 cents for the die cast, which are these metal brackets, and right now copper went down to $2.05 a pound on the copper. So, you know, $2.05 is more than 6.5 cents. Is it worth the time? It is to me. It gets me out of the house. You know, the dog gets to lay in the yard and get a suntan, and I don't have to listen to the old lady yakety yakety yakety. So I'm going to show you how I typically take one of these apart. And they're generally the same. You always got the wires. I always get all the wires out of the way. And I'll save those to go into my bucket of insulated copper. That's just going to screw off to the side. Get the blades off, which screw gun with the Phillips screwdriver is the greatest thing in the world. These blades usually come off real easy. You know, I'm not showing this as a how to do it. This is just how I do it. You know. So you pick up these ceiling fans all the time. And yeah, I can just scrap them as a whole. And it's easier. But like I say, it gives me something to do. Usually a bunch of screws in these things. It's got a pin in it. Slide the pin out, and then this thing will slide right off. A lot of times these will be die cast aluminum. This one happens to be plastic. See here, there's a pin down here. If you can see it, get a cotter key. Pull the pin. I usually save these because I guess I'm a bolt hoarder. It's just going to slide out. Wire, 10 shred. Take these screws out, because a lot of time this knob here will be die cast aluminum. And die cast aluminum here only pays 10 cents a pound, but like I say, anything more than 6.5 cents is more. So basically these are self-explanatory. Take all the screws out. And these are sometimes just screwed through, sometimes there's a little nut and bolt. You can see there's a little nut on this side and a Phillips screw. I usually just hold them with my fingers and they usually come right out. And like I said, this is all tin, so it's tin shred. Pull it apart, more tin shred, and this is basically the motor. Now this little knob here on the end of it is cast aluminum, and it is threaded on there, and usually they're kind of tight. What I do, take the old channel locks on the one side, then the hatchet, because I can get a good bite and just knock it loose. Oh, it's on there. There it goes. Just unscrew it all. And that's die cast aluminum. So take that. Take all the screws out of these blade brackets. And that is a pile of die cast aluminum. So like I say, only pays 10 cents a pound. Try to keep all my hardware over here out of the way, because I save all my hardware. Because if you ever go looking for a screw or a bolt or a nut, it's nice to have them. And then this is self-explanatory too. Usually you got 4 Phillips head screws around the outer edge. Pop them out. Got them all out. I usually kind of hold it on my belly, gets a better angle. And the shaft right here, the fan shaft, a couple whacks, a couple more whacks, and it just falls apart. Now that tin shred, there's the inside of the motor. Got to knock the other side through. Goes in a tin shred, and there's the inner core and all the copper. Now I'm going to take the rest of these apart, and then I'll show you how I dig the copper out of these, which is really simple. You know, take your clippers and cut them here in the center, flip it over, take a screwdriver up underneath here, and just pry it out. It's real simple. Alright, let me get the other ones tore apart. Alright, something else I wanted to show you. The other fan didn't have any, this one does. You see these little pull chains here? If you can see them, little shiny fixtures. A lot of times these pull chains are brass, and these little fixtures are brass. You know, you just take a magnet and go to it, and if it don't stick, it's brass. So just take the clippers, and what I do is pull it out as far as I can, clip it off. You know, you just untwist these little fixtures. Unscrew them. Grab the chain pull as far as you can, clip it off, and that goes in my brass pile. You know, it's a little bit, but every little bit counts. Alright, let me get these apart. Alright, now I'm going to show you how I do one of these little pedestal fans. You know, I just got the top of the fan off. The front cage is taken off. It just snaps on. Sometimes I have these little levers. You can't see it because it's in the dark. But just about everybody knows how to take the cage off of a fan. It ain't difficult, you know, and these things are marked. Tighten. It's actually a reverse thread. Take that off. Pull the blade. That goes in the garbage. This big nut on the back of it. Take that. Pull the rest of the cage off, which is going to fight me. Come on. There you go. It's always a good way to take out some aggression. Alright, and these are all basically held together with a bunch of Phillips screws. Usually 2 to 4 of them in the front of the fan. And 1 in the back. Sometimes you got to take a screw out of the little levers here, but a lot of times you can just pop it off. Of course, that all goes into the garbage. Boy, this is the dusty, dirty one. Dusty, dusty, dirty. Alright, I'm going to use my driver here, because sometimes these can be very tight. I'm just going to go through and crack the screws. Loosen them up a little bit. Alright, I'm missing one somewhere. Yep, hidden back there. Take that little thing off to get access to it. Oh, missed it. Oh, it's not going to come out. Oh, there it goes. All right. Cut this junk out of the way. And oh, stabbed myself with the screwdriver. Didn't think I got myself that good, but I guess I did. Little 10mm bolt here. Got the fan pivots on. Alright. Now, you can take this and put it in your aluminum breakage or dirty aluminum. I just throw it in with my tin. Then we're left here basically with the fan motor. If you guys can see it, there's a little keyway or a dowel pin through the motor. It's actually where the blade sits on, so the blade just don't sit and spin. Then all I ever do is just grab it, squeeze it with the channel locks, and pull it through. And then the screws, all bleeding on the fan. Well, these ain't too tight. Like I say, a lot of times I go through with the screwdriver just because they can be tight. And you don't want to strip a screw if you don't have to. Now, there's the copper core that I'm looking for. Goes with the other ones. And then usually, boy, there's hair and all kinds of stuff tied up around this thing. These casings for the fan are aluminum. But you have to take the bushing and the bearing out to get clean cast aluminum. No big deal. Doing it the hard way probably. Pull a little foam out. Oh, actually I've come across these bearings in here, the bushings, where they were copper, but not very often. Oh, that one ain't gonna want to pop out like the other one did. There it goes. I always throw that in with my hardware. Got a bucket of bolts and screws. So now, that's all clean cast aluminum. Alright, let me get the rest of these apart and then I'll show you my copper picking. Alright, we got all those motors cleaned up, down to what we need them to be. Down to the copper cores, the magnetic core that's inside the fan. I'm just going to show you a little bit how I start these. Not going to make you watch the whole thing because it's, you know, it's like watching paint dry. It's not the most exciting thing. But just take the clippers, grab them here in the center, and start cutting. Do your best to get all the way through them. Makes it easier. And then just go all the way around. Oh boy, some of them are tough, let me tell you. And do both layers, the inside layer and the outside layer. So let me get that cut, and then I'll show you how I pull it out. Alright, got that cut all the way through. Cut these all the way through, all the way around, both layers. I'll flip it over. A lot of times I'll take a screwdriver in it just for leverage and a handle, and get a flathead underneath there and just pry the copper out. And just work your way around. You know, sometimes you get it to where one side comes out and not the other. Well, once I go around, and I usually get my old diagonal cutters that the blades are all busted up and everything. I grab, pinch, and pull. And twist it right out of there. Alright, let me get this done, then I'll show you one of the smaller fan motors, the Pedestal fan motors, how I do those. Alright, we got here the Pedestal fan motor, which is basically, these things are the same as your box fans too. They're basically all the same. There's a couple, you know, different variations, but you know how that goes. For demonstrational purposes. Yeah. But first I go through and I take these loops of copper and I just kind of separate them. Like I say, I'm making an electric motor flower out of it. Just makes it easier to cut, for me anyway. Like I say, this isn't a how-to video, this is a how I do video. Okay, got them all there. It's either nice and separated and easy to get to, And then basically I just take the cutters and cut them in half. It's not rocket science. And one word to everybody out there, the better of cutters that you have, the easier it makes this. These cutters suck. So, alright, let me cut through these and I'll show you how I get them out. Alright, got all those cut open and separated. And then I take those old side cutters. Don't overthrow your old side cutters away because they do come in handy. And just get in there and grab it and pull. That's easy. Of course, this one's easy. Some of them aren't quite that easy. So, alright, let me get these all stripped up and I'll show you what I end up with. Alright, that's it. This is what I'm left with. Pile of copper, handful of insulated copper wire, nice pile of tin shred, a little pile of die cast aluminum, a few little cast aluminum frames, and a few little bits of brass. So I'll tell you what, I'm gonna weigh this copper up real quick and see what it weighs at. Check this bucket out. What do we got? 0.7 on the bucket, 0.6. We'll call it 0.7. Put all this copper in here. Get the little strands if I can. I'm gonna go nuts or nothing. Alright, so what we say? 0.7. So what we got? 1 pound, 12 ounces, give or take. So it's money. Extra money. That would have been, what, 8 cents and 10 shred. Now it's almost $3. Plus 45 cents a pound, 10 cents a pound, and 6.5 cents a pound. And $1.45 a pound. Which, as you see, is not much, but it goes in the bucket. All right. Well, that's it. Just thought I'd make a video to put something out today. So until next time.